Um, but anyway, a little bit about me. I was a kid who, talked to angels or whatever. I just felt a very special connection to angels, and somewhere along the line when I was a teen, I just felt like I was going to be doing something big and visible, and which scared the living crap out of me because I was a very shy kid. So speed forward to many years later, I got the message that I needed to start in my journey, and it was kind of one of those, the loud voice saying, take Reiki. And I go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. What the hell is Reiki, and who the hell was talking to me? So it was one of those moments, and they just kept continuing. And so I just kept, I was on my search since I was 15, trying to look for what it is I was supposed to do. And in my mind, it was something special, whatever special meant. And so I played in a lot of modalities. I do hypnotherapy, I do healing touch. My friend does matrix, which is amazing, and combining it with with nutrition, I think is fabulous, by the way. But it wasn't until I took a course in hypnotherapy that was based on, it was soul-based, that I just broke down in tears, and just like I knew I was home. I knew it was all about the soul, and so, does anybody know about the Akashic Records, first of all?
A little bit, but
Okay.
it would be great to hear it from
So
you.
what are you familiar with in terms of the Akashic?
Akashic Record on the second level of Reiki, with the symbols, we can actually go in and see. So I teach them to see their records.
Oh, very good. So the Akashic, Akasha stands for the primary substance where all thoughts originate. So the Akashic Records is a story of our soul through lifetimes. And so that's really it. It's a beautiful, energetic library where it contains our thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions for our lifetimes, past, present, and future. And so when I do a reading, I energetically enter into your records. I do readings for myself regularly. And then I enter into the records and get information that's of value to the individual. And in a reading, they never give you anything more than what you can handle. They meet you where you are. So there's energetic control, I would say, over what information you get. And there's always energy moving. And so I just want to take you back a little bit. A little of the history of the Akashic Records goes back to biblical times or before then. And back then, only religious leaders, spiritual leaders, saints could access the records. And it evolved over time, and of course life changed, and less love was brought into the world. And it wasn't until Edgar Cayce, who many of you probably know, the father of holistic health, came in. And when he was, Edgar Cayce, just to give you some background, was an 8-year-old boy who couldn't learn for the life of him. And he put his books under his pillow and found out that he memorized everything. So he started doing that with the Bible. He'd wake up, he'd read the Bible. And then he found that he had this gift that he can tell doctors how to treat a patient. And it was always with, get the pine cone from the backyard and a dandelion and mush it together and, do something. And he's very well known for using castor oil for healing a lot of pains and aches and stuff. But anyway, he was able to access the records going into a deep trance. And he would actually do a reading. He did a reading every day for 45 years of his life, giving a reading to strangers. He only knew them by their number, and in all of these, there's 14,000 recorded readings down in Virginia. And he was able to do Akashic record readings, telling people what their best decision was at that point, where they were facing some kind of trauma, physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental. and then he was able to tell them how to handle it, basically. And he worked with doctors, or he would give a prescription to a person. They would take it to their doctor, and they found that he had something like an 85 to 92, 93% accuracy rate. So he died in 1945-ish, somewhere around there. It hasn't been until maybe the 70s that the Akashic records kind of came back again. And that's when the energy started changing and people were able to access it. But it really hasn't been until maybe the last 10, 15, 20 years that anybody can access it now. You can access your own records. You can access the records for your pets, for your children, for your businesses, for, if you're looking to buy a house, you can access the records of a house to get a sense of its energy. Landmarks, national parks, if you want to look up the records for Stoke State Forest, for instance, you can do that. As long as it's public and it's, for your records, you can enter at any time. You can only enter records for anybody else if they give you the, the free will to do so. So in the records are three main energies, or four main energies, I should say. There's the Lords of the Records, which protect the books of the library, the information, and they work with your masters who decide what information you're going to have access to at that particular time. And then there's the teachers, and teachers are energetic beings who may or may not have walked the earth at some point. Could be Jesus, could be Kuan Yin, it could be Muhammad, could be, any kind of being who works with us for a particular learning experience. Mine's definitely patience. So whoever my teacher is getting awfully tired of me. Been around too long. And then you have your loved ones. And because I'm also a medium, sometimes loved ones come in. And when I open the records, they're kind of screaming at me, "Tell her I'm here! It's her grandma! Tell her I'm here!" That's usually what I get. And so they all come together to give you, like I said, energy and information that's healing, give you clarification, a lot of transformation I see. There's those breakthrough moments of those aha moments, and what we really do in a reading is, the way I access it, and there's other ways to access it, is using a prayer. It's called a pathway prayer. And I use your formal name, and I go in and I read this prayer, and as I do, the energy starts changing for you, me. I feel it. Sometimes the reader or the sitter doesn't feel it, of course, but my energy starts shifting. I don't feel like I'm in my body, so I'm in a different level of consciousness. And I enter the realm of the Akasha. And because I'm clairvoyant, I see I want to say mahogany library that just kind of goes up. It's oval and it goes up into the clouds. And the more I do this work, the higher the walls tend to go. But after I say the prayer, I enter in, and then I feel like I take this high elevator ride, fast elevator ride to the top. And once I get settled into the energy of the records, I can give you information. Sometimes it's channeled. Sometimes they're just so excited to talk to the person, they just share a lot of information. Other times you just ask questions. And so in terms of the kinds of questions you want to ask, or is important to know, are really the hows, the whys, and the when. The hows, the whys, and the how comes. It's not the when am I going to meet the man of my dreams, and it's not that kind of, but it's not a psychic reading. It's quite different than that. And so where you're standing at this particular point, it shows us the possibilities and the probabilities of your life. And so you have free will. You can make changes or decisions that alter your records. So it's always moving. So if you have a decision to make whether to take a job in Cincinnati or stay here or move to Miami, no matter which door you go through, because all of them may be very good decisions, message from the Akashic Records, it says, door number 2 is the one. That's the best possibility for your soul at this time. And so you would walk in and the energy changes and shows you different possibilities. You go through door number 3, different set of possibilities. And so that's how free will is involved in the Akashic Records and in our souls. And then so, you know, the big question is, what's my soul's journey? What am I about? What am I here to do? I know I'm here for something. What is it? And then there's always relationship questions. You know, my son's driving me crazy. I can't get through to him. What do I do? And so the energy of the child will actually come through too. And I'll be actually able to share the position of your child and what he or she is thinking. And oftentimes, just by reading the records and just by being in there, you can feel an energy shift. I had one time, I came home I have a day job, I came home and I was so upset, and you know, these people are doing this and these people are doing that, and it was such drama, right? And I go, what's going on here? Why is it? And they go, it's you. It's you. You did it. You started. You need to back off. And so they do it with love. You get information because it's always from love. But I'm a pretty direct person, so sometimes they speak to me very directly. And just by hearing that and just by having the records open, my energy just shifted completely. It's like looking out your bedroom window and then going over to your kitchen window, looking at the same piece of lamp and just seeing it differently. It just kind of shifts, and I was looking at the problem from a different lens. And it just, you know, I was good. I went to work the next day, I was peaceful and all of that. And a lot of times for more difficult issues, the energy will continue moving with you. And I got a call from somebody, I just got a call from somebody who's a jewelry maker, who I did a records reading, a couple of records reading 6 or 7 months ago. And some of the stuff that we discussed in the reading became more clear to her 6 months later. So those are the kinds of things that happen. Another big thing to do, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you're a writer, you do your own records, you open them up, and it's just a space of creativity, enhanced creativity. It's quite beautiful. I actually, in my records, my friend from who does Matrix, actually said, you know, you have another room in there. And I was like, gosh, when I see my library, I'm always drawn to this wall. And I asked who it was about, and that's where you write your books when you're ready. And there's other rooms that came out of this. So there's a whole lot you can do with records reading. You can do it for yourself, you can do it for other people. The class that I'm teaching in 2 weeks is in my home. It's, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour away. And you'll be certified to do readings for people that weekend. Pretty interesting. Any questions?
Yeah. Do you, can you locate like contracts? Specifically, it's my contract with Earthgate, because it seems to have a lot of stuff to it, so that was always
Yeah, I'm getting a warm and fuzzy on that one. Yeah, you absolutely can. That becomes clear, particularly for, you know, relationships and why do I like the ocean so much, and, you know, why do I feel so connected to this person? So even past life information you can get with people or places. Absolutely. You know, and those are, I did a past life with 2 people. They're both named Marika, which is really, really funny. And so Marika won, we did a reading, and then the next week she said, do a past life. So I saw in one life that she was a Native American healer. And she was really, I'm sorry, I did Marika too, the second woman first. And I found that she was very attached to children, but she was working as a chef. She had nothing to do with children. But there was something about her and children. And in her past life, she was a Native American woman who lost a child. And when I did the other Mariko, found out that she was a Native American healer that could help that child. That was really drawn to this particular child out of all the children that she treated. This was the child that she lost, and that was the connection. It was really pretty beautiful. But yeah, I mean, you would have a story with Birthgate, you know, and they give you as much as you need to know. And, you know, sometimes you don't get, you know, you may feel like, oh, I need more, but it comes to you when you just leave with the energy of it, so.
Sometimes you see just what you said, something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when you get that kind of emotional response, you can almost be sure that there is that soul relationship with the place or the person, the pet even, you know, when it's that kind of guttural kind of feel, then that's exactly what it is. Anybody else any questions? Hi.
Hi,
I knew it, you're gonna.
She's psychic.
the relationship between the present moment
Mm-hmm.
and the past and the future, is that an aspect of the Akashic records? My awareness of the present moment is that the past is always a memory and the future is always a projection, and that they always happen in the present moment. There's nothing but the present moment. How does that relate to the Akashic records?
Spot on. Absolutely. Things are happening at the same time, right? We live in a multi-dimensional kind of world. I think I just stole that from you, didn't I? But yeah, I mean, technically there's no such thing as past life. Everything's happening concurrently. But I don't know how to explain it better than that. But as humans, we see in a linear kind of fashion. So that's how we process and understand it. But you're absolutely right. You know, things are happening simultaneously, and there's no such thing as time, really. But from a human understanding and perspective, it's happened in the past, the future's out here, and I'm right here in this timeline. So when we talk about past lives, I mean, it's really, I mean, for me, I use the term past lives because people who don't understand that's just a conversation that a lot of people aren't ready for. You know.
Okay,
So, yeah, we're on the same plane.
thank you.
Any other questions?